Hi, my name is Richard Tomlinson. I'm a partner in the dispute resolution team at Langley's Solicitors. This is the first of 3 short videos to introduce our checklist of top tips for recovering payment of invoices and maintaining cash flow during the COVID-19 crisis, although these tips apply at any time and are good business practice. Our first tip is to adhere strictly to the contract terms for payment. A business is highly unlikely to get paid by a customer before the invoice has been issued, so as soon as the contract permits, get the invoice sent out. Now, what this does mean is that you're going to have to look at what the contract terms for payment are. In many business-to-business contracts, both sides have their own sets of standard terms and conditions with very different provisions for when invoices can be issued and how long is permitted for payment. Therefore, you need to check whose terms and conditions were incorporated into the contract, the so-called battle of the forms. And once you know whose terms are incorporated into the contract, adhere to them and get your invoices issued. Our second tip is to consider changing terms for payment if the contract permits. If you have a customer who is in some difficulty or is notorious for paying late, consider whether you should require payment up front, for example, before services or goods are provided. Our third tip is to consider the location of your customer. If your customer is based in a foreign jurisdiction outside of England and Wales, even if the contract says that the courts of England and Wales will apply to any dispute, there can be difficulties in enforcing judgments abroad, and therefore you may want stricter payment terms for customers based in foreign jurisdictions. Our fourth tip is to maintain strict credit control procedures. All businesses should have credit control procedures, and you should follow them strictly. So if your procedure is to chase after 14 days, make sure you chase after 14 days. Shout loudest and put yourself at the front of the queue for being paid by customers. If you don't have any credit control procedures, then we would strongly advise putting some in place. Our fifth tip is to communicate. Keep the lines of communication open with your customer. That way, if there is any difficulty, hopefully you will find out about it. And if invoices are simply not being paid, identify who in your customer is the person to speak to, perhaps the finance director or even the managing director, and have a full, frank and open dialogue with them. So if there are difficulties, you find out about it sooner rather than later.